Comic Stew.
And welcome to the Comic Stew, episode 2. What's up, JC?
What's up, Aaron?
I'm joined by my ever-illustrious fellow host, JC.
Always wanting to say co-host. Always wanting to put me in the sidecar.
See, I feel like I'm the co-host. Like, we're both the co-hosts because we're co-hosting the show.
But if you're referring to me as your co-host, that's like Conan's co-host.
Yeah, but you could also refer to me as your co-host. That's how it works. Okay, my fellow host, JC, Target Singer.
Yeah, it's finally getting there.
Did I get it? All right, good. All right, sorry about that last week, ladies and gents. It was a little bit of a sloppy show, but we were recording late. This is a little bit earlier show, but I am coming off a hairy day of work, so we'll see what happens tonight. But we got some stuff to talk about, right, JC?
I'm gonna just completely ignore the phrasing of that last sentence, and we're just gonna go into news.
No. We got some stuff to talk about. But first off, before we talk about anything, what you sipping on, buddy?
I'm not sipping on anything right now.
Really?
I think I might start sipping on the rest of this bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon, the that I was drinking last night. Partially because I'm out of beer, partially because, I'm in that sort of mood.
And by beer, you mean Sam Adams?
I mean, I always have some sort of beer in my fridge, but yeah, I mean,
right.
I'm low on beer and,
yeah,
feeling sophisticated.
Well, I made something a little special for you. Oh, and by the way, before I say what I'm drinking, I realized last week after I did get what I was drinking, I never actually mentioned what I was drinking. That was Bullet Rye, folks.
Oh, I was really hoping you were going to say the tears of your enemies. Because that's what I tend to sip on.
I had that for the afternoon libation. Thank you. No, I'm sipping on a wonderful hot toddy.
Oh, you fancy.
Oh, yeah.
You fancy. No, I just poured myself a glass of some Cabernet and feeling sophisticated.
Nice.
Drinking red wine and stuff.
Yeah, guess what this hot toddy's made with?
The tears of your enemies?
That and Bullet Rye.
Of course it is.
I'm a one-trick pony when it comes to drinking. I really am. All right.
I mean, drinking and just about everything else, too.
Oh, please. Well, you might have a point there. So, yeah. I came into this episode like not having a ton to talk about, and then by the time we got to this episode, there ended up kind of being a lot to talk about. I think we came up with a lot of stuff last minute. I decided that, or wait, I guess we got to talk about a few news items. Like I was ready to skip over news completely today because there just wasn't a lot of news, and then
I brought the news.
We found some news. What were you saying? Sorry.
I said I brought the news.
That's right. Okay, so I guess yesterday the Batman vs. Superman teaser dropped. Is that correct?
Yes, well, it's a teaser. There's a full trailer coming out, I guess.
We're recording on Tuesday, so I think on Wednesday there's going to be a full trailer coming out. Right. It was like really short. If you don't want to be spoiled on it, I guess stop listening for the next 2 minutes. I'm not going to issue a full spoil warning, but what did you think of this?
I mean, I loved it. I'm eating all this Batman Superman stuff up. Mm-hmm. I think it's probably like the first time we've really seen like alternate costumes in a Batman Superman.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not counting like any of the dumb Batman and Robin stuff.
Right.
But ice skates on their costumes or whatever. But yeah, I mean, this is like an alternate costume that you would see in a comic book series where Batman's in the desert, and so
Yeah.
I'm totally thinking on that. And
that is from a series that I cannot think of the name now that I'm trying to think of it. I definitely haven't read it. Was that like that wasn't Superman Red Sun, was it? By Mark Millar? Because Batman wasn't in that, was he? Oh God.
there's the other thing I can tell about this movie is what they have done is they've said like that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. Let's put this all together, and
Right.
it's either going to be the coolest thing we've ever seen, or it's going to be a mismatch, terrible, terrible movie. But I'm digging it right now. So yeah, I mean the teaser's not much. It's just the two of them saying, "Hey, what's up?" Basically, in a really threatening kind of way. And
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, the teaser starts off with Superman going into an underground, or it starts off, I guess, with a close up of Batman masked like tied up in an underground bunker, and then Superman shows up. All the guys that are like guarding Batman, like basically bow down to Superman, and Superman approaches with a very threatening look on his face and proceeds to unmask Batman.
right.
So that was kind of interesting. I have no idea how that fits into the movie, but
Of course not. And but it's a cool scene, man. Like
yeah,
I don't care. It's cool. Like that's the stuff in the comics that we've seen for years, and that's what you want to see in the movie. So whether or not the story and the whole movie works, I don't know. But so far to me, it's like you're hitting on the kind of stuff that I want to see in this movie. Just like with Avengers, they hit on stuff that I wanted to see happen in an Avengers movie.
yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, I'm reading. Is that from Injustice? The Batman, the desert costume? Like I'm reading, it might be from Injustice, but I've read like the first. I've read the entire first series of Injustice, and I'm on the second series, and I haven't seen any of that. But I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, I think it's shown up.
God, I feel like it was in some DC Elseworld story that I haven't read, but I thought I knew the name of, and obviously I don't.
I mean, I feel like I've seen it in more things than one.
Yeah. Well, all right. Enough about the Desert Batman costume, because I obviously can't think straight right now. But I did, when I clicked on that teaser, actually another trailer popped up for a movie that I was interested in, and this does not relate to comics whatsoever, but it does relate to literature, which this podcast will also cover occasionally. And this is a very classic literary tale. It is, of course, In the Heart of the Sea.
Now this is the Titanic sequel, right?
Yes, the one where the giant white whale capsizes the second maiden voyage of the Titanic.
Oh wait, no, that was the Heart of the Ocean. Yes.
Oh. Yeah, that was the heart of the ocean that swallowed the Titanic.
This looks really cool. Oh,
did you watch it?
Yeah. No, I've seen a couple things for it. It looks really cool. Okay. Like, I like the actors. I like, it looks pretty well done.
Well, it's directed by Ron Howard. It looks like it's just adapting Moby Dick, which hasn't been done in a long time.
Well, I think it's not adapting Moby Dick, if I understand. It's adapting the story of the creation of Moby Dick, is what it seems like.
Oh.
Which to me is interesting.
Okay. Well, it's just cool I
did get a little Cloud Atlas vibe when I saw what's the name of the actor who's in it? Who's also in Cloud Atlas?
Is it the big guy with the beard?
No, the younger guy.
Was Henry Cavill in that trailer, by the way? Was he like one of the sailors in that? I think I saw Cillian Murphy in that too.
Jim Sturgis is who I was thinking of. Or no, not Jim Sturgis. Ben Whishaw.
Oh.
who is in
Okay.
that. He plays Melville, and he was in
Oh,
Cloud Atlas. And there's some scenes on a boat in Cloud Atlas. If you haven't seen the movie, go see it, or I mean, go watch it on Blu-ray. It's really cool.
nice.
It's weird as hell, but it's really cool.
Yeah. By the way, this movie has been out for I think a while, right?
Cloud
Because
Atlas?
no. Oh no, it's coming out December 10th. Sorry,
Yeah.
I clicked on the internet and saw showtimes. Like, wait, this movie's already out? No, it's coming out. I guess in a week roughly.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That Chris Hemsworth, he's a movie star, huh?
He's a movie star. He's gonna be what, in everything soon, right?
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
It's him. It's
Yeah,
him. It's
the
him.
dreamboat that Chris Hemsworth. Now he looks pretty cool in this movie, so I'm excited to see this for sure. But enough about that. I'm curious about this thing that you put on the agenda.
So I saw this news factoid, and I was like, "This could be the most hilariously sad thing you've ever seen in your life, or it could be amazingly awesome because who knows?"
Okay.
But there was a little rumor that I saw out in the world that Stallone wants to bring back Rambo
Okay.
as a TV show, as a father-son TV series on Fox.
Oh God.
And
Really? I was halfway on board until you said on Fox. Like if this was like a Netflix show or an HBO show.
and that was my thought process too. If this was Netflix or Amazon or AMC or
Yeah.
anyone else, but yeah. But hey,
Oh God.
like,
No.
I mean, it sounds hilarious, so I want to watch it.
Rambo has a son. I forgot that. Has he
I think,
showed up
didn't he
in?
do a Son of Rambo movie or something?
Does he have a son in the Rambo movies? Like I don't even remember.
No, I mean, I think there was a movie, Son of Rambo.
Oh, was there? Okay. The only Rambo movies I remember are First Blood and the last one because it was just so over the top violent. It has just images in that movie that are just like etched in my brain. Like when he pulls off that like M60 and just is like chainsaw slicing guys apart with bullets
Yeah.
at the end scene there. Yeah, that's like I remember the movie for scenes like that, but I don't really remember any of the other sequels.
Well, and this will be Rambo New Blood. So there you go.
They're really calling it Rambo New Blood.
Yep.
Oh shit.
Uh,
You know it's okay. So is Stallone involved in this?
no, not only is he involved, he's going to be in it as the father.
Of course, because he's John Rambo. Hello. I mean, they couldn't do this without Stallone as Rambo.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, I've heard very good things about his most recent movie, which is the 17th Rocky movie.
Yeah.
So
No, I have too. That's why when I saw this, I was like, well, I mean, I've heard good things about Creed. Like, I want to see that.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, like, I don't know. It could be terrible, but it could be fun.
Okay, yeah, I honestly don't know what to think about that because
I don't either. I think it would have been much cooler had it been on HBO or something where you could actually make it bloody. But
yeah,
we'll see.
And yeah, I don't know. I feel like Fox is going to turn it into like a procedural, so I don't know how that would work with Rambo.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And then yeah, just continue.
Well,
what else you got?
I was just also remarking over the overabundance of Star Wars merchandising, which is always the case. But I saw a couple of ones that went like a little bit farther than normal, where I thought they were quite humorous, which was there you can get some Hoth flavored ice cream or Star Wars flavored ice cream. I don't know what Star Wars flavored ice cream would taste like, but there's Star Wars.
What does Hoth flavored ice cream taste like? Snow?
I mean,
does it taste like snow?
I mean, I would assume.
Answer my question, JC. Does it taste like snow?
I haven't had it.
No.
But I'm going to, probably.
Jeez. All right. Really? Yeah. Well, have me over if you do get a card.
And then Forever 21 is making Star Wars clothes, which I'm just like, really?
Oh, jeez.
Like, everyone... Is there anything else? Like,
is there anything sacred? Well, that's why Disney bought Star Wars, obviously. I mean, they want to make movies and make a lot of money, but they just want the merchandise rights, mostly. Can you imagine how much more money they are going to make than the $4 billion they spent to buy Star Wars? Like, I feel like Episode 7 is going to make like $1 billion, like, itself, you know, if not more.
It'll hit, you know, Titanic, Avatar kind of money, you know, $1 billion or $2 billion.
$1 billion or $2 billion.
It will.
Just throwing out numbers like that.
I mean, they're making a Disney land of Star Wars too. I mean, they're doing everything. Yeah. But no, okay. So let me correct myself so that people don't yell at me. There isn't Hoth flavored ice cream. There's light and dark side.
Oh.
And the light is a bright marshmallow ice cream with homemade crispy clusters and Cocoa Krispies.
Yeah. That sounds disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, I you know, I don't know. I don't know why it exists, but it does. And then,
I guess the my favorite Star Wars thing that I've encountered recently, that I've like partook in from the recent Star Wars Blitz is I picked up Star Wars Battlefront, and I believe you did too.
You believe I did?
I believe you did too. Weren't we playing that last night? Yes, we were. Yeah, so Battlefront is actually pretty fun. I'm enjoying it.
I mean, it's a light content game, but it's a lot of fun and it's gorgeous looking.
It's a lot of fun. It is gorgeous. You literally feel like you are in a Star Wars movie because of the visuals and the sound, and it really does just feel like a Star Wars movie. And I think I used literally in the right context there. But it's compared to like other shooters, it's kind of, I'm not going to say mindless because you do have to use strategy, but like the battles are so big. Like I never got mad when I died. It was just like, okay, well, everyone's dying, and it's just more about
that one guy was cheating and couldn't be killed.
Oh yeah, that guy. What was that guy's name? Darth Douche or something.
Darth Douche.
Yep, Darth Douche. Yeah, that guy sucked. I eventually just ran around him and just kept going because like the game is really objective based, and it's not so much about like kills and deaths. It's more about just achieving objectives on the map, and if you have a big group of people working together,
it's Battlefield, Aaron. It's just Battlefield.
Yeah. Well, I haven't played a Battlefield in a while, so
Battlefield with Star Wars, and which is awesome.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. I mean, the only shooter I've played in recent memory is Destiny, so this is way different from Destiny, and I'm actually really happy about that because I want a different experience. So yeah, I am enjoying Star Wars Battlefront.
So then I put a little. We're gonna go off Star Wars now because we can go on Star Wars forever, and no one wants to hear.
And we will in the future too.
Yes.
There's gonna be a lot of Star Wars coming out.
I also saw a little Neil Gaiman Twitter news that I thought would make you smile and cry at the same time because apparently a few years ago, before the now Doctor Strange movie that's coming out next year or the year after,
sure.
Neil Gaiman and Guillermo Del Toro had discussed making a Doctor Strange movie, and I don't know about this. I mean, I'm sure this new movie that's going to come out will be amazing, but man, I wish I could have seen that movie because
Oh
I'll
yeah.
read anything by Gaiman and I'll watch anything by Del Toro. So I mean, the two of them combining, can they just combine for something else now? Because
Yeah.
that sounds really awesome.
Oh, can you imagine Guillermo del Toro doing a Doctor Strange flick
Written by Neil Gaiman,
written by Neil
like
Gaiman?
it
Yeah.
would be amazing.
I
Like,
had no idea that was even a thing. That it kind of shocks me just to think of the potential of that.
yeah, I mean, and apparently at the time it wasn't a Doctor Strange movie wasn't really on Marvel's priority, so they were just kind of like, okay, cool, whatever. And now it is, and they're making a movie with other people, and
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be a fun movie or whatever. But I missed opportunity, Marvel.
Well, yeah, definitely. And as far as Del Toro doing a Marvel property, I can't think of a more perfect property for him to direct, except maybe like Man Thing or like a Legion of Monsters movie, which probably would never happen anyways. But like as far as a movie that would actually get made, like yeah, Doctor Strange would be a perfect fit for him.
You know what he should remake? I just when you said Man Thing, I was just like, he should remake Swamp Thing.
Well, you heard about his Justice League project, the Justice League Dark project that he was developing, and I don't think he's developing it anymore for DC, but someone else has taken over and like it's still being developed. You heard about that, right? And that was going to have
I had heard about that, and it sounded
Yeah.
cool. And
that was going to have Swamp Thing and Constantine and Zatanna and all of those characters.
yeah, but instead of doing that, just do like a Swamp Thing movie, like, and just rip off
Just a horror movie.
Just rip off some Alan Moore comics, like
Yeah. That'd be great. But I would probably like to see him do a Doctor Strange movie written by Neil Gaiman more. But that's too bad.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah. No, I'm actually looking forward though to the Doctor Strange flick that's coming out because I feel like Marvel was smart in hiring a horror director to do that.
Well, yeah, and I mean the actor, it's a great actor playing it. It'll be good.
Yeah, I think so too.
It'll be watchable for sure. Like,
yeah.
But nevertheless.
Yeah, I don't know if the thing is the way the Marvel universe is being shaped. You do have to play kind of within the bounds, and I don't know if Gaiman and Del Toro could have done that in this current Marvel universe we're in.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't have played into like this Marvel universe we're in, but it would have been like a singularly great comic book movie.
Yeah,
that people would talk about. Like it would be an Oscar movie. Like it would be the kind of movie that could make.
Well, I don't know about that.
I would. I mean,
has Del Toro ever been nominated for an Oscar?
I think for Pans.
Okay.
That being said, the cast of the Doctor Strange movie that's coming out is pretty star-studded.
Yeah.
I mean, Cumberbatch, Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
And it goes on. Like.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
It's gonna be good. It's just like. Missed opportunity.
Yes, I'm excited about that.
Last little news thing. There's a short film that's out, and it's on Vimeo called Uncanny Valley. Recommend checking it out. Did you watch it?
Yes, I did watch it. Let's give credit where credit's due here. It is directed by. Can you name the guy?
I can't.
Okay, it's in front of me right now. So it is directed by. Oh wow, they don't even have the guy's name on the article.
Probably not. Nice.
Well, anyways, I did watch the movie, and apparently he.
It's Federico Heller.
Okay, yeah. Apparently he was also in charge of a lot of the visual effects work in this, and when you watch this movie, it's only 8 minutes long, so it's easy to sit down and get through. But when you watch this movie, you'll realize that you need to be a visual effects artist to have conceived this. It's do you want to explain what it's about?
Well, it's a near futurist universe where we see a bunch of people who look kind of like junkies, but they're virtual reality junkies, and they just play online virtual reality games and don't really exist in the real world. And you kind of see these documentary kind of footage of these guys, and then we go into the video game world, and I don't want to spoil the movie, actually. So go watch it. It's 8 minutes long.
Yeah.
But it is being developed to be a feature movie, which is one of these things where I'm like, that could be really cool and awesome dark movie. It could also be, I mean, Pixels was a short film that was adapted into a feature and didn't really live up to the short film. Sometimes it's a short film.
It was Pixels, the Sandler movie?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Sometimes a short film is a short film for a reason.
Yeah.
And some,
Yeah. Go ahead.
Depending on how this is done, it could be a really cool feature film. Just depends on how they do it.
Yeah. Well, it struck me about this movie when I was watching it. I was just thinking, like, wow, it's been about 10 years since the Matrix sequels came out, and it's pretty cool now that like a short film with a short film budget can basically replicate CG that's as good as like the Matrix sequels.
Just show. I mean, we're living in this age, and the movies and stuff that come out in 10 years from now, shit,
yeah, no, it's crazy. It's really cool because I mean, a lot of guys had to work on it, but it was a small team that did it, and yeah, the effects are really pretty slick. So you should check out this movie, and you may be seeing a feature adaptation in the future. Apparently, the writer of the new Independence Day movie is like attached to like develop it, so. I guess that's what got it like fast tracked in the Hollywood groove.
Sometimes these things happen.
Sometimes they do, JC. Indeed. And
I just got to give a shout out right now. It's Woody Allen's birthday today. He's the man.
Okay, shout out Woody. I used to do a sound effect in the Meltcast 1.0 where it was a shout out sound effect. I don't think I'll bring that back.
Yeah, let's not bring that back.
Unless you really want me to, but yeah, I don't think I'll bring that back. That was special and unique to just that show.
One of the better time travel movies, Midnight in Paris. Did you see it?
No.
This is your homework for next episode. Go watch Midnight in Paris. Come back and we can talk about it because it's a great movie.
Okay. I got so much work this week. I don't need homework.
Well, somebody was grilling me all last few days about, have you read anything for the podcast? Have you read anything for the podcast? And I'm like, well, the whole thing was we were supposed to have watched all of Jessica Jones and all of Alias in order to talk about it fully this week in episode 2. And someone has watched all of Jessica Jones and read all of Alias. Actually, I've read all of Alias twice.
Okay, well, someone has watched all of Jessica Jones and read half of Alias.
Half of Alias. So we can't talk about
still plenty to talk about.
So we can't talk about any of the Purple Man stuff because that's all in the second half of Alias.
That is in the second half, isn't it? Yeah, I've really hit kind of the second half. I got to the Scott Lang issue, which was, to me, one of my favorite dialogue issues of Bendis's that he's written. Probably my favorite. Probably my top. That would be in my top 3 Bendis dialogue issues. The other 2 being the Illuminati one shot that came out at the tail end of Civil War, or maybe it was before Civil War. I can't remember now.
And what would be your other one?
It was a Road to Civil War tie-in. That's right.
The other one.
The other one would be I think it was called The Conversation.
In Ultimate Spider-Man.
No. Oh, actually, what was that, issue 109 of Ultimate Spidey. Like that would be in my top 5.
Oh,
The other one that I was thinking of was the one. It was done by the same team that did the Illuminati issue, Bendis and Alex Maleev, and it was after Civil War. It was actually after the death of Captain America, and it was Tony talking to, I believe he was talking to Cap after he was dead. I think that's how that issue went. I'm gonna have to go back and dig that up, but that was a favorite of mine. That was a really good one. But yeah, the talk in Ultimate Spider-Man was great when Peter came out to Aunt May with his secret identity. Not that he was gay, because Peter liked the ladies in that series. How many girlfriends did he have in that series?
I don't know. He had a few.
Did you read all of Ultimate Spider-Man, like the first kind of volume? Like
I was the one you're talking about, or the one I was thinking of was Ultimate Spider-Man 13.
Oh, okay.
Which was just two people talking the whole issue.
What was that?
When he came out to Mary Jane.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I forgot that was a whole issue too.
But yeah, I mean, again, that was Bendis's thing where he would just be like, I'm just gonna spend an issue 13 early in the series and spend an entire issue of just two people talking.
Yeah,
a Spider-Man comic.
Right. Well, he did that in issue 13 of Ultimate Spidey, and he did it in issue 15 of Jessica Jones, which was another one of his really early works at Marvel. So yeah, he definitely had some balls to like be doing this as like kind of a green writer at Marvel. But you know, he was taking chances, and that's what Marvel needed at the time. You know, they wanted those fresh ideas. But getting back to that issue, the Jessica, the Alias issue, reading that issue, which was just like, it was actually half of an issue, because the first half was Jessica and Luke, like, this is during when Bendis was also writing Daredevil and Matt was outed as Daredevil. And Jessica and Luke were just like basically hired as his bodyguards to like stand outside his office. And it's just Jessica and Luke talking. Because I don't think they had seen each other since the first issue of the series, where Luke Cage did bad things to Jessica.
Yeah, where she got some good loving.
Some good loving in, yep. So they were talking, they had a little chat, and then the second half transitions into this date that had been set up by Mrs. Marvel, aka Carol Danvers, with this blind date with Scott Lang. Who is one of the Ant-Men, of course, who also appeared in the recent movie.
I'm so upset with you for not having read the full series, because there's so much more that happens. Yeah.
What? Okay. Do you want to go ahead and talk about the rest of the series? Because we can do that. I mean, I fully intend to finish the rest of the series. Like, I just had to decide whether I was going to read the rest of Alias
Let's talk about the TV show, because I don't want to be a dick like that to you.
Hold on. So I had to decide this week, do I finish Alias or do I watch the TV show? And topically, since the TV show is a thing and I felt like I needed to watch the TV show and it was more to the point, I would finish that. So that's what I did. And since obviously you did too, let's chat about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, okay. Can we talk about just like, this was just like a moment where I was thrown from the TV show and thrown into pop culture, because that's who I am. There's a scene and Jessica figures out that everyone... Oh, by the way, spoilers.
Spoilers. Yeah, that's right.
If you're not done with Jessica Jones, just go away.
Yeah.
Anyway, to continue. There's a scene where Jessica discovers that pretty much everyone's spying on her through the Purple Man.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, she's standing at the street corner and she puts her arms out like, and I just get thrown into, I know what you did last summer. What are you waiting for? and like, and I'm dead. But what did you think overall of the series? There's obviously
Okay.
some crossover.
So yeah, I think I think I had watched just 4 episodes going into last week, and I felt like the first 4 kind of like established that nice like PI like vibe and tone to the show.
Right.
And as it went on, it definitely just became very very focused on the Purple Man, and I guess Jessica's life really just narrows into this singular obsession with finding the Purple Man and
Right.
stopping the Purple. Well, I keep calling him the Purple Man. Kilgrave, like they call him Kilgrave in the show. They never actually call him the Purple Man.
Right.
That's kind of like implied,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things that like if you know the comics, then like you're fine with it. But like for a TV audience, where like actually one of my friends brought this up yesterday and said like how lame of a name the Purple Man is, and like he asked me like why is he called the Purple Man, and I said, well, he has purple skin in the comics, but obviously in the TV show, he just looks like a normal guy. So there's no reason to call him the Purple Man,
Right.
except he wears purple suits in the show,
and I like that. I like that they kept him wearing purple suits. They took away the purple skin, and they just didn't bring up that his name was the Purple Man because he wasn't like this super villain that people knew about. He was Kilgrave or whatever.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like that. I mean, like.
Oh yeah, me too. No, I like it when you go a kind of a more serious route. You don't need to have like some of the cheesy aspects of the comics. Like, you don't need to have them in there, but you can have this like underlying like implication to nudge like the comic people, just to say like, yeah, we know.
Right.
So that's fine.
So here's what I will say. Comparing the comic to the TV show is the Purple Man is the TV show. Kilgrave is the TV show. I mean, he is the arc, he is the story, he is everything.
And just to remind everyone who hasn't read Alias, I've read half of that series, and literally there's been no mention of Zebediah Kilgrave.
I feel like there is like a moment or two that you've probably seen where like she's kind of wigging out and like doesn't really explain it.
Really? In Alias that happens?
There is definitely like at least one scene in Alias where like she's wigging out about something with I think it's with Scott, and like it's just unexplained until later where it's like, oh.
Okay, so the seeds are being laid.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't notice it.
But not at all like it is in the show. Like she's drinking and fucking and doing all the stuff she's doing, but you don't really get to see. In the show, you see her trauma right off from the get-go. In the comics, it's a slow burn where you just see this fucked up person, and then the trauma is explained very late. The Purple Man is like, I want to say it's like the last 4 or 5 issues. Like it's a small bit of the 28 issue series.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's a lot of comic crossover. She is a character who has been inserted into the Marvel universe in the comics as a pre-existing character in the Marvel universe with a history, a best friend, all this stuff. Obviously, they've swapped. She swapped best friends for the TV show because they want to make a movie. But
about Mrs. Marvel and
Mrs. Marvel
and correct me if I'm wrong, but Bendis actually created that character of Jessica Jones for the comic.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I think I missed that aspect of the character in the show because in the comic it's very much a Marvel universe kind of different take on like the Powers comic too, where it's like I'm this person who knows all about the MCU and I'm friends with these people or I'm running into these people, but I'm not these people. I'm not one of these heroes. I'm just a chick who,
Yeah.
So it's a really cool slant, and I hope that for season 2, which I hope there is a season 2, that we get some of those moments. Like it'd be cool to see her go on a date with Scott Lang. Once you read the comics all the way through, though, you'll see it's going to be hard. I feel like it'll be hard to do with the Luke Cage.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, obviously, I know how Alias kind of ends in that. I know where her story goes. Like in that she marries Luke Cage eventually.
Well, and like there's Purple Man stuff with Scott Lang.
Oh, really?
And
oh, okay. Well, that wouldn't work then. I mean, we are in full spoiler territory, so we know that the Purple Man. We know the Kilgrave dies at the end in the last episode.
Also, what I have to say is, what did you think of the whole rationale for why Jessica is no longer controlled by Kilgrave?
That was well. Hold on. That was something that I think I may have glossed over that a little bit, but I felt like the trauma of killing Luke's wife in that scene was so intense that somehow that snapped her out of the control loop. Is that right?
I mean, that's essentially what is explained in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And where this comes to be like this faulty logic is, well, lots of other people kill from Kilgrave.
Right, but other people aren't powered like she is.
Right. No, of course.
I mean, I think that's where they're going with the logic of that.
And I'm fine with it. Like, it works in the show, and it works in the comic. They explain it in a much more, I'm gonna say, rational way, even though it relies on other superheroes. But like, it's a very comic book rational way. I don't want to spoil it for you, Aaron. So like, but it's a very comic book rational way where you're like, oh, that makes complete sense. Like, I totally get that. She should, so and on that level, it's also an interesting thing is, in the comic, she never has sex with Kilgrave.
Okay.
Obviously, in the TV show, she explicitly says to him, "You raped me physically and mentally."
Yeah. Yeah. No, he was getting some from Jess for sure.
So,
why do you think he was in love?
In the comic, it was actually he made her beg for it every night, and then would fuck college girls.
Oh, jeez.
And but make her sit there and beg, and want to have sex with him, but never be like.
Wow, that's kind of twisted.
Like, any way you skin it, he's
yeah. No, I just want to say, man, there's some very, very twisted Kilgrave scenes. I mean, I feel like there is like the writers got like really sadistic with the things that he would order people to do.
Yeah, when he orders those kids into the closet and makes little girl pee in the closet, like, I was like, this is a Marvel show?
Yeah, I know. Like, they got a lot of leeway in this show.
But I have to say, I loved it for that fact because, I mean, again, this comic was the first Max comic.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that, like, the show at least went pretty far, and it.
By the way, yeah. Go. I'm sorry. Finish that point.
It strays vastly from the comic, but it goes to some places where you don't expect Marvel to go.
Yeah, with a TV show, but yeah, Daredevil established that as a tone.
No, but I mean, now I think there's some nudity in Jessica Jones. There's some really sadistic stuff going on in the show. I mean, it's not as sadistic as Bendis' comic, though.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to get there and check that out. But there's definitely some crazy stuff going on in the show. And I was gonna ask you, whatever happened to those kids in the closet? Because I feel like I never saw them after they went in the closet.
Didn't I feel like they were the people who attacked Jessica um, when she saved Simpson on the rooftop and in that apartment. But
Oh, really?
but I think those kids were older, so I don't know. Maybe it was just that was another random house, and he
Gotcha.
got bored of them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're still in the closet peeing.
Maybe they still are. Yeah. I also feel like there's a lot of people that he had hinted at that he had like been under control if he didn't check in with him or something that Jessica never really followed up on. Like there's this one scene I think I remember where he tells these like he's talking to Jessica and he mentions that he had like ordered someone to poison themselves if he didn't like check in with them or something, and then like she proceeds to I think capture him for the 50th time she does that. Which
Well,
do you remember that?
and here's the interesting thing about this character is, and I think this is where there's some leeway that the show's getting away with, which is in the comics, his effect is a more localized effect. So once you get away from him, you're not necessarily still under his control, even if his control was to do something at a later date or whatever.
So there's no time limit?
I mean, there's a time limit, but it starts to wear off much quicker than the time limits that they're making up in the TV show.
Oh, okay.
And that
in the TV show, it's like 12 hours.
Right. No, I mean, in the comic, when she escapes his grasp, she mentions that the effect starts to wear off within a few minutes, but not soon enough to prevent what she was doing. But still, it had started already to wear off at that point.
Oh, okay. So he has to have more of a tight leash.
So, like, it has to be like it's a radius effect as opposed to a time effect.
Oh, okay. So he just has to be nearby, and they basically have to obey him.
Right. Which it makes a more it's just a change, and and then having the whole thing with the doctor who's making it last longer, and that kind of got on my nerves a little bit. I was kind of like, I don't know if I need all this. Like,
yeah.
And I kept thinking that his dad, the doctor, was going to, like, he had been working on this potion that would stop you from getting an immunity spell.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept expecting when he was working on enhancing his son that like there was going to be some revelation that he was also working on this other thing, because it wouldn't have been outside of the realm of possibility for him to do that.
Right. And they totally dropped that because like he had supposedly like inoculated himself from Kilgrave,
and
then he gets captured by him and proceeds to like make this potion, like you said, that gives him like added power. And I was kind of thinking, maybe maybe this is all a ruse, and the dad is gonna end up like instead of making the potion that gives him more power, it actually neutralizes it.
I was thinking the exact same thing, especially because like he didn't really seem to be controlling his dad very much, because he knew his dad would have to like actually use his brain.
Mm-hmm. Although I love that one scene where his dad's like, "I'm really tired. I need rest. I can't focus. I'm too tired." And he like makes his dad put his hand like close to a blender, and he's like, "Are you focused now, Dad?"
Yeah, right. I mean, just
he may be focused for like this moment, but I think his like fatigue is still gonna kick in. Jeez.
Yeah. As far as like Parent of the Year awards go, like they're not winning any.
No, Since we're talking about everything, yeah, that was great when like the mom gives him a hug, and she had me sold. Like, I mean, she had Kilgrave sold, and then she pulls out a pair of scissors and starts stabbing him. I was like, oh god, this cannot end well.
I mean, a lot of cool stuff.
Hold on, okay, it was, and before we like talk about how much we like the show, because I think we both did, I have a few things I want to talk about.
Okay.
Because I definitely had some problems with the show.
Mm-hmm.
The main one, I think, was just there was this repeating motif of motive. There was this repeating motif of basically Jessica chasing Kilgrave, Jessica capturing Kilgrave or encountering Kilgrave, and Kilgrave escaping. Like, I felt like that happened in that show 50 times. I know it was a lot less than that, but over 13 episodes, like, it just kept happening. Like,
Right.
it was just over and over.
I mean, it didn't happen nearly that many times, but no, I know what you mean. And I think, yeah, that was definitely to me a limitation. And I know you wanted to talk about the ending.
Well, okay, so that was one of the problems I had. Was it did like a lot of the plot just seemed to like be rehashed. Like it just some stuff just kept happening like over and over. I mean, they were developing characters and all of that. Like they did a good job with like creating this thread for like all the characters, including even like the neighbors of Jessica's apartment. Like all the characters were developed really well. But it just like from a plot standpoint, it just kept repeating the same theme over and over, and like by the end, I just kind of got bored of it. But and I guess,
well,
I get. Oh, go ahead.
what I was going to say was I think that's like kind of like the interesting thing is like a lot of these motifs are in the comic, but the Kilgrave thing doesn't show up until the end of the comic. So
Right, you said it was 4 issues.
so it's, I mean, yeah, maybe more than that, but like it's misdirection almost. Like you don't see it coming until until it sort of starts hitting you over the head.
Yeah.
Well, and then it's over with.
And JC, I felt like the first part of the show, maybe roughly the first half, did a pretty good job of the misdirection and not revealing Kilgrave and slowly just pulling back layers. Maybe for the first 4 or 5 episodes, something like that. But
right.
The back half of the show just kept like hitting on the same theme over and over.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. The back half of the show, it was the chase scene. It was a
chase scene that happened like 5 times, like the same chase, just with different circumstances. It was like, are we going to catch this guy already? Like, come on. And like when she does catch him, he somehow wiggles his way out, or she lets him go or something.
Or you just missed him or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. It's like you said, I think it's interesting. Since the show had this singular motif with Purple Man, I think there was definitely an attempt to have a duality with Daredevil. To have these two characters who are the opposites of each other, whatever you want to call it, and have them run through the series.
Wait, are you talking about Purple Man or Jessica compared to Daredevil?
No, so like the Daredevil TV show, it's Daredevil and Kingpin, right?
Yeah.
And then in this, it's Jessica and Purple Man.
Right. I get that. I just felt like Daredevil worked for me more because Matt wasn't like, I guess ultimately he was, because the Kingpin was controlling things from the top, but he wasn't always like just like chasing the Kingpin. He wasn't like always coming in direct conflict with the Kingpin. Right. There's a lot of his underlings and all of that.
Well, and to be fair, in this, she's coming into contact with his underlings. They just happen to be her neighbor or her boyfriend or whoever else
that's true.
being controlled. I know what you mean.
It's just a general sense. It's a general overall sense I got from walking away from the show after having watched like 7 episodes in a very short amount of time. And it's just a feeling that maybe I didn't get the same feeling from Daredevil because I watched that over a longer space of time and kind of took it in a different way. So but it's just something I felt with this show.
Speaking of that, we got in the finale a crossover.
Oh, yes.
Rosario Dawson shows her beautiful face.
Yeah, finally, we get some reference to Daredevil. It was almost like Marvel realized at a very late stage of production that they had a super popular show in Daredevil, like because Daredevil was like airing or whatever at the time, and they're like, "Oh, we got to jam some Daredevil stuff in this," and like they could only do it by the end or something.
Well, and so this is what irritates me about the whole show is the whole Carrie-Anne Moss character arc and all this stuff that's kind of a little bit annoying in the show to me. I mean, I think,
I like the stuff with Hogarth just because she was kind of an interesting character.
Like Carrie-Anne Moss is awesome, but I just felt like, I knew she was going to be the one who released Kilgrave. I knew she was going to try to like get her to fix her broken or her divorce, and like I knew she just played too much like a character.
But it wasn't like she was like setting up to be a villain necessarily. She just kind of happened to be a character that kind of was like living her own story that got caught up in some circumstance, but at the end kind of wasn't necessarily a bad person.
Right. But I guess
she was just in a different place.
I guess where I want to go with this is in the comics that character is Matt Murdock. So I'm like, if you're making these 4 TV shows, Marvel, that are then going to become one overwhelming series, and obviously like Luke Cage show better have some Jessica Jones in it.
Well, no, Luke Cage better have some Jessica Jones, some Matt Murdock, and also some Danny Rand in there. Like, if Danny Rand is not in the Luke Cage show, I'm going to be uber pissed. Like, those characters are like belong together, and like he better show up in the Luke Cage show, and I'm worried about that because I think we were talking about this last week that the Luke Cage show is in production, and I don't even think they've cast Danny Rand yet.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think obviously they're going to do whatever they're going to do, and it is going to be what it's going to be. But
wasn't it weird though that like you don't even reference like Matt Murdock in that whole show?
I mean, they reference Matt Murdock at the
very end. That's my whole point. It's like, why do you wait till the last episode to get some Daredevil stuff in there? It's almost like Daredevil, like not overload because like Matt wasn't actually in the show, but they had Rosario Dawson. They had her mention like several times about like her friend, her quote unquote friend, and I mean, they did everything but like just jam Matt's name out there. But like, it's like, why are you waiting to the last episode to do this? I don't get it.
No, and on top of that, it was like that whole thing of, I don't know, like, is Rosario Dawson? I think Rosario Dawson is going to be the Agent Coulson of
the Netflix shows.
Because I'm looking right now at the cast list for the Luke Cage TV show, and I don't see Kristen Ritter's name on here. But I do see Rosario Dawson, Claire Temple, one episode.
What?
I don't see.
How can they not have Kristen Ritter in that show? Because, like, okay, the Luke Cage show, from what I can tell, with how they set up him at the end of season 1 of Jessica Jones, is he's in a state where he's trying to rebuild his life. Right. I can totally understand that he would want to separate himself from Jessica because she is kind of a toxic person. And I think he's trying to like get back on his feet and clear his mind, so to speak. And I mean, we're in spoiler territory, so we know that like Luke's bar is destroyed because Kilgrave ordered him to destroy it, to blow it up when Jessica shows up.
Spoilers on like one of their Twitter accounts. They posted a video of Luke's taking down the sign for Josie's, or Josie's sign being replaced by Luke's. So, and comic fans, you better know what Josie's is. I'm not going to explain it to you.
Well, you explained it last week, I think.
I think I did, but
yeah, I think you did too. And that's when they like you see like the business card for Nelson and Murdoch.
Yeah,
a lot. Yes. So yeah.
So yeah. But no,
it's annoying. It's like, how much? Come on, how much do these actors really cost to like have in the show? Just like stick them in an episode or two. Yeah. You don't have to have like a huge part. Just throw them in there just to have some connective tissue.
So I'm looking at the like the casting, and it looks like both Kristen Ritter and Charlie Cox are only in their series and Defenders. And then, like, Carrie-Anne Moss is going to be in Iron Fist.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes sense.
In one episode, at least. But that's the only casting they have for this show.
Okay, well, hopefully more details will surface in the future. Yeah. Just to get back to my point about my problems, like, I guess at the end of the day just had the two problems, one being the plot kind of rehashed. It seemed like points over and over. But also by the end, I kind of didn't like Jessica's character anymore. I think she's an interesting character. Okay, I think she's an interesting character. Like, I'm just talking in the TV show. I think she's an interesting character, but she's just such a bastard, like she's just such a prick. Like, it's hard to like her, like, even though she does good stuff and she tries to do the right thing. I mean, like it's all encompassed in the last scene of the show when she comes into her office and Malcolm, her neighbor, is cleaning up for her, and she just like comes in, like looks at him, and then like walks over to her desk and like starts drinking again. It's like, you really haven't grown that much of as a character over the course of these 13 episodes. You're still a prick.
So, okay. So here are the two things I will say to that. One is, in the comic, she definitely changes.
Okay.
So maybe...
Well, it's written better then.
Bendis. Yeah. But also, maybe these things... They're dealing with a story arc in a different, Well, this is one season,
right? This is one season. This is one chapter of her life, and I'm fine with her not like coming to this like redemptive arc by the end of season 1. Like, I'm actually fine with that. And what my criticism does not extend to me not wanting to watch more of Jessica, because I think she's an intriguing character. I just didn't necessarily like her that much, like her personality, I guess, at the end.
Now this explains a lot about our friendship. Because I'm over here and I'm watching this and I'm like, Jessica's my spirit animal.
Oh god. Like, yeah, bastards unite.
No, literally the scene where she's chasing Kilgrave, one of your many scenes where she loses Kilgrave, but she's chasing him through the park and these strollers like crisscross in front of her, and she's stopped and she pushes through them and she's just like, breeders.
Yeah, like, I saw you put that on the notes. I hated that. I was like, never mind.
Like, I had
what I thought.
I had a friend who posted the GIF of that and was just like, I'm like,
No,
I understand that as her character though. Like that's her character. Like she.
Yeah, it's ironic coming from the mouth of someone who's going to have a child with Luke Cage, or she had a child with Luke Cage in the comics. I thought that was kind of funny, but
Well, no, and that's the thing is like she gets this redemptive arc in the comic, and I hope that we see that redemptive arc in the shows.
Yeah.
Um,
We'll see. We'll see. And that actually makes me want to bring up a point. I was thinking about these shows versus the comics, and we're obviously in this universe that Marvel has crafted in their movies and TV shows. We're seeing a lot of like big deaths and things happen that are kind of like that I think we know as like moviegoers like are irreversible. I mean, it's not like Ben Urich is not going to come back from the dead, like if they kill him in the comics, like there's a better than average chance he's coming back because he's a great character and they want to reuse him because comics never end.
right.
But in TV shows and movies, like there's obviously like they can only go on for so long.
Right.
And they killed a pretty great villain in Kilgrave at the end of this show.
Right.
And of course that just means like they can't use him again. So
yeah, I mean, so here's the thing is like I agree and disagree with this statement because I think Ben Urich is a great character.
Well, how can you disagree with the statement that the TV shows and movies are going to have a shorter lifespan because comics never end? Like movies and TV shows like are definitely going to like these are definitely going to end.
No, intrinsically they have a shorter lifespan because they have real life people playing these characters. I guess what I meant by that was the death thing. I think Ben Urich's death to me was more sad because I think he's a bigger character in Daredevil. And I would have liked to have seen, more of their relationship evolve.
Right. Well, I wanted to just see Ben Urich's character evolve to where he was opening the Frontline newspaper. He was opening his own newspaper. And like, I felt like that character had a lot more to give.
Right.
From a character and story standpoint.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but like I mean, it's also great storytelling to have a character like that go out in the way he did. I mean,
and I think it's more challenging with Jessica Jones because this is like the big villain in her series because it's a short series that came out, but on the other hand, because she's a private eye in the Marvel Universe, guess what? There's a million private eye shows in the world, and you can make these other stories that exist. I mean, like I said, the Alias series, is 28 issues, and Purple Man's in a small fraction of that series.
Right. And
stories.
And let's be honest,
the characters from the other Marvel Universe movies in these shows, it would be amazing because there's some really fun stuff in the comic.
Well, so sorry I talked over you, but I was just going to say, and let's be honest, it was only 28 issues because the series didn't have the sales to warrant it continuing, but that series could have gone on for hundreds of issues.
Yes. No, I mean that series is one of, I saw an article related to this, the show coming out, talking about Alias in the same vein as the top comic pantheon series of all time, and I can understand that. This was if you like the Bendis Daredevil arc, which I know you did. This was that in a different character. This was that level of quality with this new character that he created, this new thing that he created, and yeah, it could have gone on. And I think the sales were hampered by the fact that A, she's an unknown character, and B, it's a Max series that isn't going to get the sales of like a non-Max series, and that's why Alias morphed into Pulse.
Yeah. Well, wait. Did you say people are saying that Jessica Jones, the TV show, is one of the greatest comic TV shows of all time.
No. The Alias comic.
The Alias comic. Okay, I thought you said the TV show. So I was gonna say, like, let's be real. There haven't been a whole lot of comic book TV shows yet. Like, we're kind of in the early stages of the comic book TV show.
I mean, there have been a fair amount of comic book TV shows.
Yeah, there has.
I would definitely say both this and Daredevil are right up at the top.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I would put this above. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, I enjoy the show Arrow, but that is not a great show by any stretch. I mean, Jessica Jones, from a quality standpoint, is infinitely better than Arrow. I mean, I had problems with Jessica Jones, but in terms of quality, I mean, it was up there.
No, I mean that's yeah. But no, the article I saw was comparing this in the hushed tones of Dark Knight and Watchmen and that kind of stuff, and saying like this is
the Alias series.
The Alias series is worthy of consideration in that kind of pantheon of great comics, and it's hard. That's one of those conversations. It's like no one will ever win that argument. Some people will.
Yeah, that's a subjective argument.
Exactly, but I can understand it because it's a great comic.
Yeah, it is.
And yeah, like you said, it could have gone on forever, but it didn't necessarily have the sales from Marvel to warrant. They were like, well, why don't you do like another Avengers or like something, why don't you make this character a non-Max title? And that's what he did.
Yeah, that's what he did. I read a little bit of that series. I think I read like one arc or something, and it was okay. It was okay. I knew Alias was like the bread and butter series with her in it, so I knew I was going to get around to reading that, and I'm finally halfway there, JC.
And one of these days you will.
Yeah. All right. Well. Yeah. So I guess we were going to disagree. Maybe not disagree about her character. I think we can both agree that right now she's still kind of a bastard. She's gone through a lot. I really hope that they, hopefully in Luke Cage, hopefully in the Defenders, or however they continue to tell her story, hopefully there's a season 2. I mean, I don't think there's any confirmation yet that there is going to be a season 2, but hopefully there is a season 2 and they can really open up more stories with her, because I think this definitely warranted. And I mean, like just look at how, like you said, look at how many detective shows there are on the air. Like, this series could go on forever. Just
imagine the first arc of Alias.
Yeah.
Just imagine if you make that into a TV show and just have, like, you only need like a couple scenes with Captain America to make that work. And they haven't crossed the TV to movie threshold yet, but like, why not? They've done they've thrown these characters in every movie, so like and like Scott Lang showing up, like you could do that.
You could totally do that. I mean, because the thing is, like the Scott Lang thing, like from what I read, it was basically just a one-off. And how great would that be to just get Paul Rudd for like one episode or even like one scene?
It definitely wasn't a one-off in the comic.
Yeah, I know, because you said it does come around at the end, but like the one issue,
straight up like her boyfriend when Purple Man shows up.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's whatever. But you know what I mean? Like she could go on a date with Scott Lang and then like break up with him or something. It was just a great like single issue, and I would love to see that in.
I know exactly how you could work the Scott Lang relationship into that TV universe.
Oh, do tell.
What?
I said, oh, do tell.
Well, I mean, you would skip out like the Purple Man stuff because you'd have to. But you would end it the same exact way that it ends in the comic, which I'm going to leave for you to read, and you can tell me about next week. But
I don't know if I'm gonna subject everyone to more talk of Alias after this. I may just quietly read it and maybe talk about it at a later date.
Well,
But
basically, as you said, Jessica gets pregnant, right?
yes.
And it's not by Scott Lang, but she may or may not be dating Scott Lang when she finds out she's pregnant.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
so Luke gets her pregnant in Alias.
a little bit.
Okay. I mean, I knew that happened somehow. I just didn't remember where that happened because I guess hadn't read it yet, which I guess is true.
Yeah, that's how that you could do that and just take out the Purple Man stuff and get to kind of play on that dynamic. And Paul Rudd seems like the kind of guy who would be down for that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they could get him, but I mean, we'll see. They're not crossing over much of the TV and movie stuff, and I think as we discussed last week, kind of the rumor is, and I think signs are pointing to the film and TV divisions. The gap is widening, the schism is widening there. So I don't know how much actual crossover we're going to have between those.
We'll see. I guess at this point all we can do is wait and see, and
yeah,
hopefully Luke Cage comes out really soon, and we can see what happens there.
Yeah, I am really excited about that series. I loved Mike Coulter as Luke, and
he was great. He
was great. Yeah, he was fantastic. He was one of my favorite parts of that show.
Yeah. All right. So let's go off Jessica Jones and Alias.
Yeah, actually, this is great because we're in the full spoiler territory. So let's just keep that train going. We're like 40 minutes into spoiler territory, so let's just keep it going with the mid-season finale of The Walking Dead.
So, what happened to Deanna?
What happened in that episode? Oh my goodness, JC.
So, okay, so yeah, Deanna, she's dead.
She's dead.
She's dead.
She's dead. I mean, she had such. You know what? Okay. Just let me say this.
Yeah.
You're more of like the cold, unfeeling type, but I really was. I was moved by Deanna in this episode, and call me a sentimental sap, but I was moved by her. I thought her words to Rick and Michonne were just so fitting, and they actually just gave me hope in that just world of despair, and that actually it's kind of wind in my sails to keep wanting to watch the show.
Can I tell you my feelings on that? Which is, hey, you don't know me, man. But you
got a soft side, JC. You got a heart under there. Under that cold black lump in your chest?
I do. And I am the most sappy romantic person. And so when Deanna pulls out her romantic, beautiful language to Rick and Michonne, I was equally moved. I'm Michonne, I've got that dark soul, if you will. But
you didn't have to agree with me about the black soul, JC. You know that, right? I'm half kidding about that.
And I'm half kidding about it too.
Yeah.
But definitely when Michonne kept wanting to know about the Latin phrase, and Deanna said that it said that the Latin phrase was something. This pain will give us strength, something to that effect. Yeah. And that's something that I think is. It reminds me of the I think it's Hemingway who says, everyone breaks, but some people are stronger at the broken places, and it's it's beautiful language, and it's amazing in a network-ish television show to see these kind of moments and then these action moments and to go back and forth. And
yeah, and before we kind of recap the episode, I just wanted to punctuate that about really the emotional, moving nature of this episode and kind of this season to a degree. Like I felt like the music has been just on point.
Yeah.
You know, that very simple piano. The simple piano bars have really just done that show like very well. Like it's really punctuated the. I don't know what I'm saying. It just fits really well with what's going on.
And like, you know, speaking of like these moving human moments, the Carol, Morgan, Wolf,
Yeah, Wolf guy.
whole scene where, you know, it's this dynamic of one person saying like, "Hey, every life is precious," and the other person saying like, "I agree with you, but I'm willing to kill anyone, including you, in order to save the lives that I actually think are precious."
Yeah, yeah.
And then this other person saying, "Every life should die."
Yeah. Oh man, I am so worried. You know, I've really grown attached to the doctor, the would-be doctor that's been forced into that role. That kind of the chick with glasses.
Yeah, no, she's great. She's great.
But I'm like, my point is, I really got concerned when he like took her away. It's like, oh my god, what is going to happen to her now? Can you imagine?
Well, and I think this is one of these things where the show is going to give us the opportunity to say, are people bastards or are people not bastards? And maybe this guy can change and maybe he can't. And
I doubt it.
He
seems like a monster through and through.
I agree with you, but remember, what was it, a couple seasons ago? Obviously not nearly as monstrous, but Daryl and what was the girl? Beth.
Yeah. I was gonna call her Emily, but I think her name is Emily Kenny in real life.
But the two of them could not have been more polar opposites of characters.
Yeah.
Strong versus weak and all these things, and they ended up getting stuck in a situation where they had to rely on each other, and they became both better people, and then one of them became a zombie person, but or a dead person, whatever.
So, are you alluding to maybe the wolf guy and the doctor chick, like escaping him, like dragging her away, and her somehow like helping him and them bonding?
Yeah, you know.
I mean that would be cool if it was written well. I mean, you know that The Walking Dead loves to do those episodes where they just focus on one or two characters. I think they do it for budget reasons, but I mean, there are some really nice episodes, like the Morgan episode, where they do that.
Yeah. So I mean, it could be interesting. We'll see.
Well, let's just recap. Like, what happens in this episode? I mean, the tower comes down and makes a big old like hole in the wall, and all the zombies come in.
Yes.
So everything that they've been striving to protect is now just overrun with zombies, and they're all holed up in houses, and
yes, and some conflicts and some non-conflicts. We get to see the dumbest kid in the world try to take on the baddest.
Oh yeah, oh dude, he and just basically screwed his whole family. I mean, those two kids, like the two kids of the guy who got killed by Rick, have got to be some of the biggest dumbasses in this show. Yeah. I mean, and to spoil the very end scene, I mean, they're walking through a crowd of zombies covered in like zombie slime, and of course that little bastard has to like call for his mommy, who's holding his hand in the middle of the zombie herd.
The best part about this is they have a baby with them,
right? Who's not crying.
Rick's baby has enough sense to shut the fuck up. You know why? It's Rick's baby.
I mean, let's be honest. It's a little unrealistic, but you know, whatever.
But I feel like that baby has been through enough stuff where the baby is like, yeah, I should probably not cry right now.
Yeah,
like, this stuff is, like
you know what I loved.
I love smarter than that kid.
JC, I love the like when they're bringing Judith over to like put the blanket over her, the look on her face. She's like, I don't want to do this.
Well,
Did you notice her? Did you notice her face in that scene?
Yes, I did. Also, cool, kind of pretty cool that Carl, the baddest kid in the world, like doesn't rat out,
Oh, yeah, we've seen that happen before, though. It might come to bite him in the ass.
Might come to bite him in the ass, but it might also not. Like,
I don't know, man.
The kid could look.
I know where Carl's at, where I've read up to in the comics, so I'm worried what may happen to Carl.
Look, that kid ain't doing shit to Carl. That kid is gonna get murdered by Carl if it happens.
I'm worried. No, but once again, they leave us on a just absolute cliffhanger. Oh my god!
Great episode, great tension, and
yes, absolutely. And I wanted to say one thing really quick. For the first time, I was finally like, hell yeah, to the preacher, because he finally grew a backbone. Like, he was just like, he was killing zombies, and like, I don't know where this came from actually, but in some span of time, he grew a backbone, and he's like, I'll follow you, Rick. And he was like dead ass serious.
Yes. So
I feel like maybe that was a little contrived, because I don't know if I saw that from a character journey with him, but it's like, okay, I'm just glad they finally did something besides have him be a complete milquetoast pussy, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think
the guy's a huge pussy, so it's nice to see that.
He's more likely to kill them than the other people, but that's just me. And
you think the preacher is?
Yeah, I don't trust that guy.
Yeah, I don't really either, but I don't know if he is like actual, I don't know if he has murder in him.
The episode before that, what kind of dick is Rick? The guy is trying to set up like a prayer circle, and Rick's just like tearing signs,
like posters. I know. Yeah, I think maybe they're kind of alluding to the fact that he got a little bit of his sanity back just by being in a kind of normal place.
Maybe. We'll see.
It's interesting, the characters that they leave alive, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have to have these characters that probably shouldn't survive, but do survive, so they can give people who should survive a reason to die.
Yes. Well, I was definitely disappointed. No Daryl, no Abraham.
Well, did you happen to see the I guess you would call it the teaser for the second half of the show with Daryl?
No, I missed that.
Well, they get stopped.
Oh boy.
They get stopped in the road by a group of bikers.
Oh boy.
And these bikers tell them that all of their belongings do not belong to them. They belong to a fellow named Negan.
Negan, yes. I thought it was Negan. I don't know.
I don't know.
I've just read it, so I don't know. I've never heard it pronounced.
Casting has been announced as Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yep, and let me ask you, is that for season 7 for him to appear in?
I mean, I'm assuming his first part. I mean,
for season 7, right? Because you don't think he would show up in the last half of this season.
Well, I mean, they're stopped in the road right now.
Yeah, but you think maybe, I mean, God, just think about how much meandering time they take with these episodes. I mean, they might not even get back to Negan's camp until the end of this season.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll see how they cast. I would imagine that he will be in this season, but he won't be like the big bad of the season. He will be the big bad cliffhanger for next season.
Yeah, that's what I would think too, because I'm pretty sure. I mean, they've got to be like heavy into production on the last half of this season. If they're not, like, I would think they're already done with production and they're in post now.
Yeah, I would assume that they, somehow get out of whatever they're in at the camp, and then, things are finally starting to get back to normal in this dude show.
Well, yeah, I think they're. My prediction for the second half is they will find a way to clean the town of zombies, and something will draw them to, whether it's Daryl or whatever, will draw them to Negan's camp.
Right.
and that'll have that'll cause a conflict.
Right. And so now, but it's interesting because now there's like two big bads out in the world other than the zombies, which would be the wolves and his camp.
That's true. Yeah, except the wolves have been basically decapitated. I mean, I guess actually you're right. You're right because the guy's going back. He'll probably join up with what's left of his dudes, and there is a few guys left, I guess.
Well, we don't know. Like, we don't know if in the show that if he's the leader of the wolves, or if there's a leader of the wolves, or if we don't know where they're going with that. At least in the show.
Yeah.
But there's definitely at least two groups, which is interesting because I don't think the show has really done that before either.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I just want to say, I think I mentioned this last week, but again, I really hope they keep them in this place because this place is worth fighting for, and it really makes me invested in them winning and surviving now.
Right. And it's where they stay there in the comics for a long time. So
They do, yeah. I mean, where I left off in the comics, they were still there, and that was after issue 100. So,
right. Well, I mean,
they're
behind that part, but
yeah. Well, I won't say anything else. I was gonna say though, about the comic. Do you know that issue 150 is being solicited? I think they solicited it last month. So they're almost to 150 in the comic.
Yeah, I mean,
it's crazy.
They're moving along.
I caught up on ordering my Walking Dead hardcovers, so I've got I think I've got 6 hardcovers coming. I'm gonna be catching up.
I'm doing the omnibus route, and
yeah,
we just released the 3rd omnibus, which goes up to 148 or 146 or something like that.
So you're gonna be caught up too.
It's right up to pretty much current. That's
cool.
Which I think is pretty cool, but it's also crazy to me.
Well, that's cool. They're soliciting the omnibuses so quickly after the single issues get there.
Yeah, Omnibus 3.
And by the way, I prefer Omniboo.
I know you do. Oh, I'm sorry, not the Omnibus, the Compendium 3.
Oh yeah, Compendium. God, those are big too, man. Those are phone books. I bought the first one just to start the series, and I'm a hardcover whore, so I eventually switched to the hardcovers.
Yeah. So the 3rd compendium goes to 144.
Okay. Yeah. So that's right there.
That's an arc.
You might if you catch up, you might have to switch to trades after that.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I got the first compendium, which was the 48 issues. Then I switched to trades, and then I ended up giving all that stuff away and just getting the hardcovers.
Yeah, and I'm not opposed to that either, but I just have...
if you're getting the compendiums, just get the compendiums for now.
You've only got so much books shelf space, and I've got Absolute Y the Last Man and Absolute Transmetropolitan on my wish list, so
yes,
those are going to be taking up some bookshelf for me.
Well, I already got your Christmas gift, so don't expect either of those from me this holiday.
I'm going to have to get you, some good comics.
Cole.
I'm going to have to get you some Powers or some,
some you're going to hate me. I actually have a bunch of Powers, and I haven't read them yet.
Of course you have, because you're bad.
I know, and I have a really bad habit of ordering stuff out of previews because I can get a pretty hefty discount if I do it that way. And so I'm I'll read this. I'm going to read this for sure.
To be fair,
several years later, I still haven't read it.
Right. To be fair, I'm guilty of this as well. I purchased MiracleMan Book 1 probably 6 months ago.
Oh my! Is this transition to out of spoilers? By the way, should we remove the spoiler tag? Okay,
we can probably remove the spoilers tag.
We can come back. Okay,
we can come back. But yeah, so I picked that up I want to say 6 months ago, and I don't know how much you know about this series.
I know very little about MiracleMan,
Okay.
except that Alan Moore wrote a well-regarded run, and Neil Gaiman continued that run.
Right.
And it's unfinished, essentially.
Right. So essentially, the two greatest comic book writers of all time
Wow.
wrote.
I don't agree with that. Maybe one. You really think Neil Gaiman is the second best comic writer of all time?
You know what? Come back and read Sandman, and then come back and talk to me.
Okay.
No, I mean, like, okay. I mean, saying that the top two, it's like whatever. Like,
Yeah. I know.
like,
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt your flow there. Talk to me about some
Because
Miracle.
let's be honest, Stan's got to be number one because he created everything.
Yeah.
He created.
Maybe Jack Kirby. We could maybe call Jack Kirby the greatest.
Let's not even get into that conversation.
That is the whole thing. Like, did Stan actually write those, or was that Jack Kirby just plotting everything?
Let's
wrote some dialogue.
Let's just not go into that because that's a can of worms. Like that's 6 years of podcasts right there.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, two of the greatest comic book writers of all time.
There we go. I agree with that.
And two of the most important, significant, changing comic book writers of all time who changed the medium from a medium that was seen as a very childish medium to a very adult, mature medium. Wrote two arcs of a series consecutively that were very well regarded, unfinished, and then unrepublished.
Yes.
And I don't know if you know about the whole controversy.
I'm aware of the publishing controversy.
Right. There was a gentleman who also made comics who didn't make these comics who somehow got the rights, and it went back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to name names, but you know his name. I assume you know his name.
Just tell me his name. Just name names. I don't. Yeah.
He did a little Spawn.
Oh, McFarlane. Yeah. I kind of forgot about that.
There was a whole McFarlane Gaiman lawsuit, all this stuff. Anyway, the book that I'm reading, MiracleMan Book 1, I finally decided to open it this week.
Now, is this the Marvel? Marvel got the rights to publish this, right?
Yes, Marvel is publishing this.
Okay. It's a new published volume of MiracleMan.
Right. So it is story by the original writer. They can't even write his actual name. The original writer is his name. That's Alan Moore, though.
They can't. Well, he won't allow them to use his name.
I mean, again, there's all.
He is so crazy now.
Well, no, and I think it goes back to all these legal issues and stuff too.
Really?
I don't know what the exact rationale behind all of that is.
Well, okay, hold on. I thought Alan Moore wasn't the original writer of MiracleMan. That was another guy who created the character, but Alan Moore wrote the run that's actually regarded.
Right. So, this says story, the original writer with Mick Angelo, who I think was that person who
was the creator of the character.
Right. Yeah, MiracleMan created by Mick Angelo.
Yeah.
So, essentially, for whatever reason, Alan Moore's name can't be used, so it's the original writer.
Or he doesn't want his name to be used because he's a cantankerous old man now. Come on, let's call a spade a spade. Like, Alan Moore is pretty damn cantankerous now.
Sure. So is Frank Miller.
That's true.
So I mean, anyway. So this is book 1, and I'm only like 3 chapters into it, and they're referred to as chapters in this and not issues for some reason.
But they're like 20-page stories.
They're a little bit less than issues, I think. So,
okay.
But it's really good, is what I'm gonna say.
Can you kind of set this up for me? Because I don't even really know the character of MiracleMan. Like, can you tell me anything about this?
Okay, so MiracleMan is essentially like a Shazam-esque character, I guess, where there's someone walking around like you, and then you say some magic word, and you become a superhero.
Okay, that's Shazam.
Right. So That's the character, and the book is great because it gives you this prologue backstory of I guess there's three Miracle Men, like Miracle Man, Young Miracle Man, and Miracle Boy or whatever,
Okay.
And then we go into the series, and you're like, you see basically old Miracle Man, and he doesn't know he's Miracle Man, and
why is this?
well, we see eventually that the two other Miracle Men died, and he was blown up and lost his memory. So he's just this dude, the non-powered dude, and so he's married and moved on with his life, and doesn't know that he's moved on with his life essentially, and then is forced into circumstances and gets his powers reactivated.
Okay.
Then comes to light that one of the other Miracle Men is still alive, and this is where I'm getting to right now, where he finds this character, and his former sidekick is now running a multi-billion-dollar company, and he essentially discovers that it's not his sidekick, it's the superhero alter ego never changing back.
Oh.
So, like, imagine if Shazam, and I'm not a Shazam fan, I'm sorry guys. What's Shazam's real name?
Billy Batson?
Yeah, so imagine if Shazam never changed back into Billy Batson.
Yeah.
And became evil.
Okay, so all right, yeah.
So essentially that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, so that's kind of the antagonist of the series.
Right. As of right now.
Yeah.
And
so that's his former partner.
His former partner.
Okay.
And so, like, I'm in. I'm 30, 40 pages in, and I'm in. I'm like,
yeah, grabbed you.
It grabbed me.
Who's the art by?
The art is it's a couple of people, I think.
And also tell me when this was originally written, if you don't mind, too.
Carrie Leach and Alan Davis with Don Lawrence, Steve Dillon, and Paul Neary.
Oh, Alan Davis did some work in there?
Yeah.
Nice.
So...
And when was that published originally?
Okay, so book one, which contains Miracle Man 1 through 4. Does it have an original published date?
Because this was a 1980s series, right?
Yeah, it was an 80s series.
Late 80s, I think. Or in the latter half of the 80s, I thought it was, but I guess a quick Google search would fix this, but I'd rather hear it from you, JC. All right, so you're enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it. If you were surprised that an Alan Moore and then Neil Gaiman comic would be really good, you're dumb.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, I know that they've also, I guess starting in April, Gaiman started finishing his story. I'm not sure if they have finished the story, if they're still in it. But I know that's the start of Miracle Man Book 4. So, like, that's cool.
Okay, so you're definitely recommending the series, and that's another hole in my library. I mean, I guess I had always thought that was a great work to read, but now that someone actually recommended it, and I know a little bit of what it's about, I'm more likely to read it now. Can I just ask you though, what's the format of the book? Is it how many issues is collected in this book that you have?
It's pretty thin. This is book 1, and it says like issues 1 through 4.
That's it.
Yeah, so it's pretty thin. It has a lot of like behind the scenes content kind of stuff.
Okay, so this is only Alan Moore, right?
This is only Alan Moore.
How many issues did he write? Do you know?
So let's see. The whole series is like I want to say it's like 20 issues or something like that. It's not a very
That was with Gaiman, like around 20 issues.
so let me see exactly.
Yeah, because I also was under the impression that it was a shorter series, like kind of in the vein of Alias, where
Yeah, so Gaiman picked up at 17.
okay.
Um
And how many issues did he write?
he got to like 23, 24, 25-ish, it sounds
Okay.
like. And then um
Dropped off for was it the legal reason thing?
yeah, and then 25 years later, you know, they're
It's finally coming back.
yeah.
That's kind of cool. Well, hopefully I guess tonally, hopefully it kind of fits with what was done before. Sometimes writers come back and they're different writers because they've grown a lot.
Well, and I know it seems like they did some Miracleman with like a lost story by Grant Morrison and art by Joey Q. And then like a Peter Milligan, Mike Allred story. So I mean, like it's kind of confusing now as to like what's out there, but you know,
Yeah.
it sounds like there's book 1, 2, and 3, which contain the 16-issue Alan Moore arc, and then book 4 contains Neil Gaiman's 17 through 22. That's out there in trade form.
Okay, and then presumably the last volume would include a few issues of the old stuff, and then the stuff he's writing now.
Right.
Okay, that's cool.
Or something. I mean, it's hard to understand exactly.
Well, that sounds like it's plausible. That's happening.
Yeah.
We're kind of running a little bit long. Did you want anything else to say about old MiracleMan? I know you've only read a few issues.
I've only read a few issues. It's cool. Even you know, it's kind of frustrating looking online, and I'm like, so wait, there's the books that are out there now, and there's some other book. You know, it's. I think it's as messy as the legal battle was, but it's good that it's out there because it's some great stuff, and you know, you can't not like 80s Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman stuff.
Yeah, or if you can, you just have bad taste.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can not like anything, but
yeah. But, okay, well that's cool. Well, it sounds like the publishing is kind of like they kind of resolved that, and Marvel's publishing the stuff now, and Gaiman is writing it. So I guess we'll see that in the future. Really quick, I just wanted to talk a few Marvel number ones, staying on the Marvel track here a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, we're really gonna have to talk about some DC one of these weeks, JC. And I know they're your dudes.
They're my dudes. We'll have to do some DC work because you've never read a Batman or Superman comic that you liked.
That is absolutely not true. I've read quite a few that I have enjoyed immensely, but you can keep talking in platitudes.
We'll have to do some Vertigo work for you too.
Oh yeah, please. I gave you Scalp to read, and you better get on that. You want to talk about Vertigo work?
You know, I'll start reading that. You start reading some Sandman.
God, you want me to read? Okay, so you want me to read Sandman? You want me to read? What was the thing you recommended earlier? Yeah, short-term memory loss. It happens.
Yeah, you know.
What did you say I needed to read earlier? Oh no, it was a movie I needed to watch, right? It
Probably.
was a movie.
There's a lot of
Midnight Train, right?
Midnight in Paris.
Midnight in Paris, yeah, that was it.
There's a lot of stuff you need to work on, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, just in life. I agree. All right, so staying on the Marvel track because we both know they're way better than DC. No, not really. I think right now Marvel is doing better work overall than DC is, but that's just me. I'm not reading a whole hell of a lot of DC these days. But Marvel has gone through a pretty big turnover in the last 6 months or so with the whole Secret Wars event, and I don't want to get into that. I'll probably get into that in another episode because it's not over yet. It is dragging out too long because the series was supposed to be 8 issues. Now it's 9 issues, and Isab Ribic, the artist, is way delayed on getting the issues out. So basically what we're seeing from Marvel is a lot of number ones that should have come out after Secret Wars was over, but now they're just putting them out because they have to still publish comics and they can't halt their entire line because of one book.
Right.
So there's a lot of number ones coming out, and a few of them just like kind of quick hits. One I read that it kind of only deserves a brief mention, but I read Hercules #1, and anyone that's known me from the past knows that I really enjoyed Greg Pak and Fred Van Linte's incredible Hercules run after the World War Hulk event a few years ago. I really love that stuff. The whole like buddy angle with Amadeus Cho was great, and that was just like a really great book. Really funny book, but it had a lot of great drama in it too, and I really enjoyed that book. So basically what I'm saying is like I'm kind of a Hercules mark now. Like I'll read a Hercules comic if it's being put out. I mean, the last one that came out was written by Van Lente. I think it lasted 8 or 9 issues, and it was kind of a return to Hercules, like Hercules being humbled, basically, because there was an event called I think it was called the Chaos War, where Hercules basically becomes this omnipotent god, and the series after that was kind of his devolution back to kind of a normal guy and without a lot of his like godlike powers.
I really have nothing to add to this because I've never read a Hercules comic in my life.
Well, if you wouldn't interrupt me, I'll continue jabbering on because
I had to wait for the pause in 45-minute conversation.
All right, well, just let me keep talking. All right, so that Hercules comic came out. It was like I said, 8 or 9 issues. It wasn't that popular. It's been a few years since a Hercules comic has been out. This one is written by Dan Abnett, and the art is by Luke Ross, I believe. And it's a kind of a comic that had me scratching my head of why it existed. Like, I really don't know why they're putting out a Hercules comic now. Like, I almost feel like it's like they're trying to keep the copyright or something. I mean, like they're putting out this book. It's written by Dan Abnett, who I like. So I was definitely like willing to give it a try based off of that too. But
you heard it here first.
What?
You heard it. You heard it here first on the Comic Stoop. Pick up Hercules. We don't know why it exists.
No. I'm not saying to pick it up. I'm saying this comic has caused me to scratch my head and like wonder why it exists.
No. I understand. I was making a.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not saying to pick up this book. I would actually say probably don't pick up this book unless you really like Hercules, because it's not that it's like badly written, but it's just like the plot is like super boring. It's just Hercules like living in an apartment, and like people come to him basically to ask him for favors to like help out stuff that's going on in the neighborhood. And he goes on like some errand for these guys and like fights a monster in the first issue. Like I really don't even remember much beyond that. And it like the character Gilgamesh is like crashing in his apartment, and like there's some like nice banter between those two. Like Dan Abnett is a good writer. I have raved about some of his past work, but it's just a book that like I read it, I was like, okay, that was a #1 issue of Hercules that I don't know why that book exists. Like it doesn't really seem to have a purpose. But that's enough about that book. That was one Marvel #1 that I read. Unfortunately, does not live up to some of the past efforts from writers like Pak and Van Lente, and I think it really hurts when you remove a character like Amadeus Cho, because like Hercules is a character that you need to play off against something else, and Amadeus was a great character for that. But moving on, I'm gonna try to keep this quick. I read issue 1 of Chewbacca. Did you read that yet?
I haven't read that one yet.
Okay. I wanted to just like mention this briefly because it's really not worth like mentioning, like getting like really a deep dive into. I mean, it's fun. It's a good little book. But we're gonna have a Star Wars comics conversation coming up with this Vader Down series that's coming out. So we're going to be talking like the mainline Star Wars books then, but like just to briefly mention this now so it gets a little bit of love. This book is just basically like this side story of Chewbacca landing on a planet. You don't know how he got there, but he's helping out this little girl, and I guess hijinks ensue. I mean, it's written by Jerry Dugan and artist by Phil Noto, and they both do a fine job of like.
Phil Noto's doing the work on the Chewbacca, or is that the cover?
What's that?
Phil Noto's doing the work on Chewbacca.
Yeah, he's doing the interiors, and he did the cover as well.
Well, now I'm gonna read it.
You're Phil Noto guy?
I got 2 pieces on my wall.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you do, don't you? Mm-hmm. I think I saw those. What are they of?
I've got the Killer series that he did. What was the name of it? She was like an assassin, and I'm blanking on the name of it right now. Mm-hmm. But she was an assassin, and then I have like Black Canary.
Okay.
But
yeah, his women are nice.
Yes,
he knows how to draw a woman. The art in this book is pretty good. I didn't really have any problems with the art.
The series I was thinking of was Beautiful Killer.
Beautiful Killer. Okay. Yeah. This is just like a little just side series. It's kind of a humor book, and Jerry Dugan has a background in comedy, and so he's kind of writing it as a humor book a little bit. It definitely has a kind of a dramatic gravity to it, because it is about this girl who's trying to like rescue her father, but Chewie gets pulled into it, and so as far as like a first issue, it just kind of sets that up. You don't really know why Chewie got in that situation. Maybe it'll be revealed later, but it's it's fine. I think it's not one of the best Star Wars books. Like honestly, it's probably, of what I've read, it's probably down there with Princess Leia in the bottom half of the Star Wars books from Marvel. But it's still fine. Like Princess Leia was fine too. It's not bad, but it's not as good as like Jason Aaron's Star Wars.
I have to say I enjoyed the Princess Leia series. It's very kind of veiled, like American propaganda, but I thought it was very enjoyable.
Written by Mark Waid, art by the Dodsons. Yeah, I actually don't even think I finished that series.
Yeah, I read it through the end. It's it's enjoyable. Like it's kind of veiledly kind of propaganda piece.
Yeah, and it's also not as good as Star Wars by Jason Aaron or Darth Vader by Kieran Gillen. I think we can agree on that. Those books
Not
are
like-
stellar. Those two books are so good.
Yeah, it's definitely not like great.
Yeah, that's why I'm just so excited about that Vader Down series. But we'll talk about that another week. But to stay on the space theme, swinging back around into the Marvel 616, I read issue 1 of Guardians of the Galaxy, and this is a book that I started the last series and never finished it. Apparently, like I just said, screw it, I'll just jump into it and see what's happening, because I heard the Thing was going to be on the team, and I guess Venom is too. Like, I don't know how they got there. I think Thing being on the team has to do something with Secret Wars, because there's a lot of Fantastic Four stuff in Secret Wars. Because I don't think the Thing was in the previous volume of this series, but I think Venom was. So I think it's natural that he's on the team, but we don't know why the Thing is on the team. But it's the book is still written by Bendis, and the art is by Valerie. Oh man, I don't know if I want to pronounce that the way I think it's pronounced. It's Valerio Chati. How would you pronounce that? Take a minute and just look up that artist's name and tell me how you would pronounce that. Way I talk about this book. But anyways, I decided to just jump into it because I'm probably, I don't know, 20 issues behind on the last volume, and I didn't want to catch up quite yet, and just wanted to just jump in and see where it's at. I guess apparently Star-Lord is the king of like his homeworld now. His dad got deposed or whatever, so now he's the king and he's ruling, and Kitty Pryde is the new Star-Lord, which I think happened in the Star-Lord comic that was written by my buddy Sam. And I believe he's writing another Star-Lord series, like a new one after Secret Wars. That's probably coming out now. But Kitty is the new Star-Lord, which is kind of cool. As far as go ahead.
Just to interrupt you and tell you, I believe the pronunciation would be Valerio Skitty.
Skitty. Okay, I'll go with that. Yeah,
something Italian, and it's not what you think it is.
I know. That's my dumb American coming out, but I was just looking at it like phonetically, and it seemed like it was pronounced that way.
Yeah, I know where your head's at.
Yeah, you know. Anyways, I didn't necessarily love this issue. Like, it was kind of a okay setup issue. It had some good Bendis dialogue, and I don't know. Like, I'm gonna keep reading it. I've been a pretty big Guardians of the Galaxy fan ever since Abnett and Lanning did their classic run on Guardians, and the whole Annihilation stuff. Which, by the way, JC, if and I know you haven't read this, but you really need to go back, and if you have any interest in Marvel Cosmic, you need to check out that whole like run that happened about, I guess it's about 10 years ago when it started now, but man, that was good. It started off with Annihilation and just like continued basically up to this event called the Thanos Imperative, and it was probably about like a good 6 years of stories. So if you have any interest in that stuff, man, that is so good.
Can I interrupt your train of thought right now?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm pretty much done. I would say I'm on board for this series. I'm gonna keep reading it, but it was. I want to know why everything is the way it is, and I know I need to read the last volume, and I think I need Secret Wars to end before I'm gonna have some of these questions answered. So it's an in progress thing for me. So go ahead.
So yeah, I just wanted to give and this would be another shout out, but the opening credits for Jessica Jones.
Oh yeah,
You know who did them?
I do not.
These were also done by David Mack,
Oh really?
who did also credits on Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Kidding me? He's doing movie opening credits?
Yeah, and he's obviously doing the new covers of the new the new Alias trades that they've been putting out as
Oh
well.
yeah.
But yeah, he did the credit sequence for the show.
That's cool.
So I like that. I like that Marvel's like keeping a a comic guy in the credit sequence, and it makes it feel comic-y, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I thought the credit scene was great on Jessica. And by the way, was there a picture that was like a piece of art in her bedroom that was a David Mack piece of art?
I didn't notice that, but I mean, it sounds like, it sounds like he was around, so...
Because I never felt like I saw that full picture, but I just saw like the edges and stuff, and I was like, is that a David Mack piece of art? I couldn't tell.
I mean, it could have also been, another, could have been art by, the series creator, Michael Gaidos. That might have also made sense, but yeah, I mean,
yeah, that would have probably made more sense.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was some real comic art. I didn't notice it in the scene though. So,
yeah. All right. Well, what do you say, JC? You want to put a cap in it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, we can keep talking, but
no, we've rambled for several hours now.
But let's be honest, who's still listening?
Who is still listening? Hopefully, some people.
If you're still listening, let us know.
Yeah, actually, I did want to mention last week I didn't say this at all, but we would love some feedback and some contact from all y'all lovely people. If you want to send us an email, you can email the show at thecomicsstew@gmail.com. If you want to send us anything, questions and stuff, we'll read it on the air and talk about it. If it's a good question.
We're also on the Twitter.
We are on the Twitter at thecomicsstew.
And we got
we're putting up these shows as like YouTube videos as well. So if you look for the Comic Stew on YouTube, you can find that if that's the way you want to listen.
You can also RSS us.
Yeah. So go to thecomicsstew.com and you can see the link for our Libsyn page, which is going to house all of our episodes. Hopefully we're going to be on iTunes like pretty soon. I think it needs like a few episodes in the can up there before it'll like actually post. So hopefully we'll be on iTunes in a couple weeks. We will let you know about that. But yeah, if you want to email us and give us some feedback and questions, we will welcome that with open arms.
And we may or may not read them aloud. And, particularly if people are making fun of you or me,
let's be honest, they're more likely to make fun of you, JC.
If you say so.
Stone face. Okay, well, I guess there's no hockey update this week because we didn't play because we forfeited our last game and we're definitely out of the playoffs. So there's no hockey for a few weeks. But yeah, you can hit us up or Twitter at the Comic Stew, website thecomicsstew.com. Check us out there. JC, anything else?
Not really.
Okay.
Keep it real, people.
All right.
Actually,
Laters.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
You didn't say keep it real?
I cringe at myself for saying
that's staying in the show. Later.
Later, guys.